Hello and welcome back, joyful soul, to this beautiful community. My name is Letty, and I am here to share more energy, more love, and more light with you today. So I'm super excited about today's topic, guys. It's about the joy of forgiveness. Dun, dun, dun. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness, to me, is a gift to myself. Oftentimes we think forgiveness is going to be for the other person. And, maybe they did something really bad. Maybe they're just really hard to deal with. Maybe it's just, you had a bad marriage, something hurtful happened to you in your mind. That person in your perception has done something to harm you. So forgiveness, I look at forgiveness like an onion. Forgiveness has, for me, many, many layers. Forgiveness can be instantaneous for some. Forgiveness, however, can take a while, and you can forgive in kind of like stages, right? I had mentioned before that I had manifested with my thoughts, remember that one? Something very unfortunate, something that I painted, like literally painted by numbers. I couldn't have written this stuff, and realized after the fact that I had created that situation. Now, I want to clarify something here, because it wasn't that I did it all by myself, but we are energetic beings. Okay, so we are energetic beings. We are like a radio frequency. So when our frequency matches with someone else's frequency, you are now listening to the same station. So it's sometimes we can initiate things, definitely, for sure. And I was sending out all of this for sure, that this was going to happen. And it was an infidelity. So I was so convinced that this was going to happen that I put out that mistrust. I didn't have confidence. I didn't believe anymore that this was not going to happen. I believed it was going to happen. So I met this person halfway. And if there was any inclination in his mind that he wanted to, or that he was interested, or whatever, we completely just were a perfect match. So that's how also manifestation works. That's how the law of attraction also works. It matches your frequency. So when someone has, let's say, for instance, you're looking for a job, and it needs to be something that you can work from online at home, only part-time, only in your city. You don't want to have to do too much, blah, blah, blah. You want to make, $40, $50, $60,000 a year, and it has to have benefits, and it has to have all these things. Well, if you believe that you're going to find something like that, then a person who has a position part-time in your city, then they offer all this great stuff in their package, it's going to match to you. Okay. So that's when you have this match comes together. So in that situation with that person in my life, I met him halfway. So we manifested this together. We created it. However, I will say that massive manifestation on my part was the details, the very specific details of how, who, when, where, right? That I took total accountability for. And I did that because what that did for me, when I finally realized that I played a part on the human level, on the 3D level, I was not a victim anymore. I was not a victim anymore. And that was a major shift in my conscious mind, was that I wasn't a victim. I was kind of a participant in it. And I also realized that there was nothing at that point left to do except to just forgive the situation, forgive myself for falling into that fear mode, that low vibration energy fear mode, where I was just passionately talking about it for a year, and creating all the details. I had to forgive that of myself. And that's kind of how the layers of forgiveness start. So I forgave myself. I said, okay, Letty, you didn't know any better. You didn't think that you could miscreate. You had no idea what the law of attraction was. And if you did, you forgot it. So, okay, let's move forward. because I had to figure out a way to get out of that victim mentality. Because in order for me to move forward in my life, for me to believe in love, for me to have faith in God, in myself, I had to get to that first level, and that was self-forgiveness. So I forgave myself for having a weak imagination and total, blah, blah, blah. Now, the forgiveness for him came in parts. It did come in parts. And I do practice the Course in Miracles, you guys. And one of the things that I also really, really do believe in is that we plan this experience. We have a soul plan. And I'm going to put in the comments a link to a gentleman named Rob Schwartz, whose books I've read. Amazing guy. And if you believe in this, great. If not, that's okay. But it does resonate with me in a way that made everything so much clearer. So we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I've said that before. I say it all the time. Anybody who knows me is like, there she goes again. But we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And I realized that more and more and more as I got older, because there were so many instances where it was like deja vu, or I met somebody and I was like, how do I know you? How is it? How do I like you? I like you. You're great. Oh my gosh, I just met you 5 minutes ago. You're my new best friend. And I'm pretty friendly, but really seriously, I've had situations where I've met people in my life that I knew for some reason there was just a resonance with that person. Sorry, it's making I'm so teary. Allergies. But so I do believe that we do plan things. We pick our parents, we pick our families, we pick those that we want to balance karma with, those that we want to learn from, those that we need to kind of have some, forgiveness happening there. Okay. And I've said this before, some of our biggest teachers are those that have caused us the most pain. But they were somebody that we also said, hey, can you do me this favor? I'm really wanting to learn forgiveness in this next incarnation or in this next life. Can you help me? So there's a parable, I believe it was read by Marianne Williamson, and I'm going to put it in the comments. And it's called The Little Soul in the Sun. So I've said before that you don't know who you are until you know who you are not, right? Well, this little parable talks about being the light. And when you are the light, if you're standing in front of the sun, how do you know how bright your light is? I mean, think about it. If you're sitting in front of the sun, you're this little candle, okay, you have this beautiful flame, you got all this bright light, and you are the light of God, you are the light. How do you know how bright you are if you're in front of the sun? You can't, right? It's just logical. There's no way you wouldn't know your brightness because everything is the same. Everything is the same as you. So we come into this world, I think, to learn a lot of things. And the Little Soul in the Sun parable is beautiful. And it just recaps kind of like, okay, you decide you want to learn to be strong or courageous or brave, or you want to learn to be forgiving. How does it feel to be forgiving? How does it learn to be loving? So there are souls that come forward and say, okay, I'll help you. I'm going to help you with that. And I'm going to lower my energy. Okay, I'm going to lower my energy and I'm going to help you to experience yourself as forgiving. So that little parable found me a year after everything happened. And a very dear person in my life shared that with me. And I was kind of like, and I listened. I did listen to it. And I cried so much because I thought, oh my gosh, okay. I did believe in we pick our families and stuff, but I had not looked at it from that perspective, like husbands too, right? But it makes sense. Big people, big relationships, big opportunities for growth. So when I heard that parable, I thought, wow, this is so intense for me because I saw it completely different. I saw this person, I saw this soul, this human being completely different with a different set of eyes. And I will say, guys, that no matter what, in this world, in this life, we've all been hurt somehow. We've all had things that were not fun. We all had things that were traumatic. We've had experiences that just split us wide open. And believe me, I've been there. I've been through lots of stuff. And I'm grateful for each and everything. Everything. For those that know some of my story, I repeat, everything I am grateful for, because my soul is intact. Nothing can touch the soul, right? Nothing can touch the soul. But it gave me an opportunity to really learn myself, my capital SELF, myself in a different way. I got to learn who I truly was. I got to learn that, wow, in spite of all that, I still have faith. Okay, in spite of all that, I'm still loving. In spite of all that, I believe in love, and I believe in goodness, and I believe in people, and I believe in forgiveness, and I believe in opportunities to love again or to try again. So the forgiveness, after I heard that parable, which I'm going to put here, and I think I would encourage you for sure to take a look at it. The forgiveness came in many ways, many doses. One thing was, again, taking accountability for my part. Number two, realizing that I had chosen this person and that I am the writer, the director and the producer of my own play, which is my life. And number three, realizing that, we're not perfect. We are all infallible. And we all make mistakes. And we're not, I can't imagine that someone deliberately goes out and says, oh, well, I really want to hurt somebody today. So let's go at it. I mean, maybe, right? Maybe there are those people. I pray that in my world, they aren't, and I don't track that. But I will say, for all intents and purposes, that, okay, there are some people like that out in the world, and we can pray for them anyway. But at the end of the day, I analyze things. That parable helped me to look at everything differently. And then time also helps a lot. Time really makes a big difference, because I didn't feel at day 100 the same way I did day one. I didn't feel on day 365 the way I felt on day 10. We change. The feelings change because we change. And when you have opportunities to look at things differently, whether it's through a parable or a book or something somebody says, or just your own personal inner work, in the silence of your own heart at night, when you go, well, things were bad. I should have, I didn't pay attention. Whatever. And I'm talking infidelity here. I'm not talking everything else. You start to look, you soften a little bit. You do soften a little bit. I did go through all of it. I did go through the wide range of emotions. I did go through a lot of disbelief and shock and, oh my gosh, right? Now what? And fear, a lot of fear, for my life and what's going to happen. Now, what do I do? Not for my life as far as my safety, but just, now what? And you don't even know where to start. You're so confused. You just don't want to do anything. And I just have to say, the forgiveness of myself was crucial, but the forgiveness of this person that did mean something to me. Love doesn't end overnight. You don't just not love somebody after whatever. You still have feelings. And now you just have to find a way to manage them differently. And that is part of forgiveness. So when you do love someone, like I said, love doesn't end overnight. You can learn to love them through forgiveness. You can forgive the weakness. You can forgive whatever it was that happened. And by knowing them as a soul, by looking them looking at that person as a soul and someone who agreed to help you with something, then you can turn back and you can say, okay, so did I learn a lesson then? Did I learn what it was to be brave? Check. Did I learn what it was to love myself, whether that meant to get out of the situation or to just not talk to everybody about it, to just have some grace around it. How was I loving? How did that come through? How did love present itself in that situation? And then you can just go back and look at it and say, yeah, I did. I did. Or, I could have done better. And that's okay because I'm learning. And that's where who you start to figure out who you are. And therein lies the gift. Therein lies the gift of forgiveness. Um, Forgiveness also, like everybody says, and sometimes it's really hard to understand. Well, forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you. And that's hard to understand if you don't look at it from that perspective. I, in forgiving this man, who in my estimation really hurt me, but also served me, because that entire situation served a purpose. It served me in a way that I was not able to see at the moment, but I was willing to take the time to let it come to me. I was okay just chilling out, kind of letting it, like layers of an onion, right? It was little bit by little bit, it was starting to show up, and this flower of purpose just came out. And I was able to see, not, I wouldn't say instantly, but probably after about a year, I was able to see what it all meant, And in that knowingness, in that ability to just look at it from a higher perspective, from a different perspective, from a loving perspective, I wasn't mad anymore. I wasn't full of all this rage. I wasn't, pissed off and like, well, karma's a bitch. I didn't wish anything. I just allowed it, because, you can't force somebody to stay in a situation that they're not resonating with anymore. And I think sometimes we feel like, well, we got traded in, or how could they do that to me? How could they do that to this family? How could they do this harm to so many people? But in essence, really, we all are sovereign beings. We are all free beings, and we have free will, and we have the right to choose. And so if someone doesn't have that level of love for you anymore, it doesn't mean that it's about you. It's not about you. They're on their own journey. We're on our own path, right? I don't say or act or do or eat any of the stuff I did in high school. Does that not make me Leti? Of course not, right? So if I'm not the same person that I was in the beginning of this marriage as I am 10, 12, 15 years later, I'm not wrong for that. Now, I will say, and I want to just say to anyone who's been through this, it's hard, and it's not fun, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It does kind of break you open, but you have to ask yourself, what did I want to learn about that? Why did that happen? And how can I use this? How can it serve me? I wouldn't be here today sharing this with someone. Someone's going to resonate with this. And if it's just one person, if it's you, if you're looking at this and you're feeling like, oh my God, she's saying, how did she know? Then that's all that matters. Then all of that I went through served a purpose. So if it's helping just one person, if this talk is helping you, then it was worth all of it, because we are all here to help each other, guys. We're not alone. We're not alone. And when I mean that we don't, sometimes we think we are, but we have God, we have spirit, we have the universe, whatever you believe in. And even if you don't believe in anything, you still have help. But there's also someone out there in the world that resonates with you, someone who knows exactly how you're feeling. And the weirdness, the saltiness, the anger, the frustration, the hurt, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie about it. Totally sucked. I hated it. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I wouldn't be here now, right? I wouldn't be here now. And his experience is his experience. His experience was what he needed to do more. He needed He wanted something different. And you can't change that. You can't fault someone for that. Now, could it have happened a little different? Yeah. You know, would I have preferred if we had sat down and said, okay, you know what, let's take a real close look at things because we're not gelling, we're not resonating. Um, how can we fix this? Or should we just call it and avoid all the drama? That would have been something that I probably, in retrospect, I would have preferred to do. But I avoided that conversation, to be quite honest with you. I mean, let's be real. I for any of us that have been through an infidelity, we know there was something going on. We had suspicions. We have intuition. Whether you're a man or a woman, doesn't matter. We know, when you're not talking anymore. When you don't have dinner together as much as you used to. When the little hugs and the little kisses and all the little squeezes and the blah, 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 all of that kind of stops to go away. It doesn't have to be the telltale signs of clearing out your phone or your phone's always gone dead or can't get a hold of you on Friday night, whatever. That's just the form. That's just stuff. But when you have feelings and you're not connecting, that's when you should have a conversation. That's when you need to really look at yourself and say, okay, what's my frequency right now? Do I really want to be here? Am I happy? Is this serving me anymore? Because we read each other. We read each other in a marriage and in a family and even among friends. You can sense things. You can sense when it's just not working, and she's not calling anymore, my friend. We don't go out like we used to, whatever. Everyone is changing. And right now, through this ascension process, guys, there's a lot. There's a lot that's changing. And so people are kind of not in your life like they used to be, not at the same level or not at all. Or maybe conversations are just shorter, right? So in a marriage, it's kind of the same way. We have to really honor that. We have to take a look at that and be adult about it and just be honest and say, okay, we were in trouble. We were in trouble. And I was afraid of the conversation. I didn't want to have that conversation. I can say I didn't want to have that conversation because I didn't want to know. I didn't want anything to change. I was afraid. I was really afraid. Well, but then we just, this just happened and oh my gosh, we had plans and what are we going to do for Christmas? And we already told everybody, we had plans. So I was afraid of anything changing because we had made plans. Well, come on. I mean, I look at that now and I'm thinking, gosh, Nike, you guys pushed it so far. You pushed it so far because you had plans. And then it ended in a way that it didn't have to end. And I think that's really what I'm here to say. So in knowing all that, having spent the time to kind of look at it clearly and really openly and honestly with myself, I was able to say, okay, I forgive both of us. I forgive both of us. And that's where the forgiveness comes in. So forgiveness with infidelity, guys, it's a personal journey. We're all on our own path. We are all on our own journey. Some of this that I'm saying might resonate with you and some of it might not. And that's okay because your truth is your truth, right? I know what helped me. I know what worked for me. Did it serve me in a way that I can now apply here in my current marriage? Yes, of course. Absolutely. Knowledge is power, right? We all know that saying, knowledge is power. But applied knowledge is way more powerful. What's the point in learning all these lessons if we're not going to apply any of it? And so now I can say, yeah, we have really open, true conversations about things. And we read the 5 languages of love and we've done these, work. And we are on the same page as far as, how we both feel about certain things. And those are real honest conversations. Those are grown-up conversations. And, I'm sad in a way that we went through all the drama kind of, because a lot of people got hurt through that family. When you marry someone, you're not just with that person, you marry their family. So that I would have, wished to have been different. But have I forgiven this man? Yes, I did. Absolutely, without a doubt. Um, and I will say, guys, let it go. Let it go. If they moved on, that's okay. Move on. Life is so precious, and this experience is really meant for us to try to learn and glean something from. So look at every single moment as an opportunity. Wow, that felt really good. I really like when someone comes up to me and smiles at me and says, "Hi, how are you today?" And I like friendly checkout ladies, or I like when I talk to someone and they haven't seen me or talked to me in a while and they're so excited to hear my voice. That feels good. Then if it feels good to you, then do it. Do it for someone else. Be just as joyful and just as happy with someone else, and watch how more of it will come for you forward. More of it and more of it. You'll start to experience more and more of it. We have to be what we want in our life. So if we want to be forgiven for some of the things we've done, then we have to be forgiving. And if we want love, then we need to show love. We need to be more loving. If we want peace in our family and we want peace in our internal world, our personal world, then we should be peaceful, right? I mean, it's all connected. It is all connected. Now, I will say that, and this isn't always everyone's experience, I didn't have a chance verbally to forgive this person because he passed away. He passed away I think about 3 years, 3.5 years after everything happened. And I've forgiven myself for not talking to him because there were many opportunities for me to have done so. But I let my pride get in the way. I was forgiving him from a distance. I was forgiving him from a distance, and I was like, okay, I can do this, but I still want to talk to him. And that was, in that moment, that's what I needed to do. But when I learned that he had passed away, I realized, oh my gosh, I missed out. He's not on the planet anymore. That's so weird. And I mourned for that. I mourned for him. And I realized that I let my ego get in the way. I let well, if he wants to talk to me, he's going to have to call me. I let that get in the way. And so I'm being totally honest with you guys. Okay. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. And I let that get in the way. And I wish I hadn't. But I do talk to him in spirit. I do feel his energy. And he does know. He does know how I feel. He does know that I did forgive him and also forgave us as a couple for not being more honest with one another. But if you have someone in your life that you need to forgive, just know that you asked them to be in your experience. Okay. And it was to learn something. It was to balance something. It was to experience yourself in a way that you have not experienced yourself, whether that's loving, forgiving, patient, kind, compassionate, honest, brave, courageous. What is it? What is it? What is it for you? And now we're going to talk in general, right? So let's say you have a friend that you just not working. It's just not working. But you feel like it should because you've been friends forever and you should, it has to. Well, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I've said this for 20, 30 years now. And in this ascension process that we're going through, for those that are high frequency, you're very joyful, you're very loving. We're being pushed. We're being just naturally guided to want to be more loving with each other. The last 2 years have shown us a lot of things. And a lot of us are just like, you know what? I don't want to be divided from people. That was not necessary. Why did we all go through that? Why did we treat people? Why did we treat each other that way? So now we're changing. We're kind of figuring it out. We're going, okay, yeah, no, that didn't work. I don't care. We're going to be friends anyway. I just, whatever. And so it's good to have these experiences where you can look back and say, yeah, no, you know, we just kind of distanced ourselves from each other. We don't resonate anymore. Our frequencies are not matching anymore. And that's okay. Remember, reason, season, or a lifetime. When people come into your life for a reason, it could be that coworker that you met that you totally got along with and you worked for 6 months together. And they taught you so much. They taught you so much. They showed you new ways of doing things. They gave you great advice. Maybe you noticed that they were always happy and you asked, well, what are you doing that makes you so happy? Oh my God, well, I love Wayne Dyer, or I meditate, or I go and walk some, in the jungle, or I go hiking in the mountains. And you learn from that person. You learn from just being around them. Wow, that sounds fun. I think I'm going to try that. So that's a reason. A person comes into your life for a reason. They're meant to just give you a message. Maybe they're meant to show you something different you never thought before. A season would be what my ex-husband and I had. We had a season together. We had a season. A season could be a friendship. A season could be a marriage that doesn't it ends. A season could be, an employer season. You've been at the same job for 15, 20 years. That was a season. A season helps you to grow. It's just like a season. It's like a season. You have spring, summer, fall, and winter, right? So when winter comes, it's okay. Let's talk spring. Start with the top. Well, winter's the first one, right? But then spring comes. Spring comes. There's all this new growth. The snow on the ground, the rain. It fed all of those tiny little seeds that were in the earth, all those little roots. And by springtime, they come up. So now you have spring, and spring is great. Summer, everything's in full bloom. Okay, allergy season's a mess, but everything is just bright. But then fall comes, and the leaves start to turn. If you're lucky and you live in that part of the world where you get to see that, the leaves start to turn, they start to fall. Their season is over. It's the end of a season. Well, it's the same thing with anything, guys. We have seasons with people that just, they're over. We experienced so many beautiful things. We had so many amazing experiences, and we have memories, and that's a season. And then there's lifetime people. Who are the lifetimers? We won't know. You don't know. A lifetime person, I would say, is probably anyone after 30, 40 years, right? Most of the time we all think, oh, well, it's family. We have that, family's lifetime. Well, families take relationships, those are relationships. They take work, they take work. You got to call your sisters, you got to call your mom, you got to call your brothers, you got to call cousins. I mean, it's a relationship. It's a living, breathing thing. So even that, you just, as far as lifetime, like in your experience is what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes it could be a best friend. I have a handful. But I'm blessed. I'm blessed to say that I have a handful of those, and they're great. So regardless of what is happening with someone in your life, look at it for what it was. Look at it for what it was. And if and I'm not talking about really traumatic, bad things, okay? That's a different conversation. I'm talking about situations where you're just holding yourself back from forgiving somebody. Maybe you had an argument. Maybe there was an infidelity. Maybe somebody, crashed your car and they didn't pay for it. Now you're going to hate them forever. Don't. It doesn't serve you. It hurts you in the end because you're holding all that resentment. That was the one thing that I realized. I was trying to move on, but I was smiling with anger in my heart. Have you ever done that? Have you ever tried to smile and be mad? You can't. It's such an oxymoron. It's completely different. And I was pretending like I was, yeah, everything's great. Oh my God. Inside I was going, I was really, really, and I was like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, right? 5 steps forward, 20 steps back. I wasn't going anywhere. Has anybody ever tried to learn how to drive a stick shift car? I was killing the engine every time. And so that's that's why I just decided, okay, I need to take a look at something here. Because just say this ain't working. And that's when I was just given a lot of opportunities through the parable and then the book and then just my own inner self. I know my angels were talking to me because I had moments, I had dreams. I'd wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I never. Okay, so pay attention to the messages you're getting, pay attention to the little nudge, beep, beep, on your shoulder or in the back, somewhere right here in the back of your mind and your head. Spirit is saying, hey, let's take a look at this. Maybe this video is one of those things. You never know, right? Well, thank you. Thank you very much for spending this time with me. I hope that you enjoyed it. I pray that you got something out of it because I am just a microphone, guys, for oneness, for the greater good, for the universe and all of that loving, beautiful energy that truly is surrounding each and every one of us if we choose to see it. Please don't forget to hit the bell. Ding, ding, hit the bell and share this message with anyone that you would like. I am Letty. I am a joyful soul, and I am here to just help you navigate through all of this experience. In this moment, you are loved. God bless you. Have a beautiful day.